Most 2D Mario games have a speedrun category called low or small percent. The rules of this category are to beat the game without ever obtaining any power-ups, so that Mario is small during the entire run. The idea here is that tons of obstacles in Mario games can be kind of cheated by using power-ups like the cape feather or the acorn suit that make it possible to just fly over most threats. So by banning power-ups, all obstacles have to be done in the standard way. I've been running a couple of low percentage runs myself over the last year for fun, and it's really cool to beat the game while only being small Mario. But recently, I realized something. Small percent isn't the smallest way to play a Mario game. If we duck during the entire playthrough, then we are even smaller. So I tried to beat New Super Mario Bros. Wii this way, and as it turns out, trying to play the game while permanently crouching complicates a lot of otherwise trivial tasks and makes the game a bit challenging. So today we're going to take a look at whether it is even possible to beat New Super Mario Bros. Wii while permanently duck hopping. So you ready? Let's do this. So first things first, let's talk about the rules so that we know what we're up against. The general idea is to beat all challenges the game throws at us while only duck hopping and while permanently being small Mario. It is impossible to walk while crouching in Mario Wii, so we only have two ways of moving forward during the entire run. Hopping and sliding. The hopping works in a really interesting way because it is affected by holding down the run button. If we hop around while telling the game that we desire to run, the game actually respects our wish and we're able to build up more momentum. So we're actually able to move at about the same speed as we would if we were running normally. There are only two problems. First, it takes a couple of mini hops before we have our momentum, and once we stop for only a second, we lose it again. Because of this, we actually want to move fast through the levels whenever possible. The second problem is because of an old friend of ours. Ladies and gentlemen, may I reintroduce our old arch enemy, slopes. Slopes are the natural enemy of everyone who tries to play a game while permanently crouching, because as it is known, slopes cause sliding, and sliding is bad. Whenever we hit a sloped surface in the game while holding down, Mario immediately starts to slide down. If we jump out of a slide, we get a normal jump animation, even though we still have the down button pressed, and we keep all the momentum we built up while sliding. Sometimes we're actually able to use this to our benefit, but sometimes it just straight up kills us, because of slide soft locking. So what is a slide soft lock? Well, a slide soft lock happens when we slide over a small bump and aren't on the ground anymore for about a second. During this time, we can't move into any direction and we can't jump. I'm hammering the A button here, but the game forbids us to jump. That's something that happens surprisingly easy and is surprisingly lethal. Even though we can't walk during the entire run, we are luckily still able to wall jump and to ground pound while still crouching. This means that our joystick basically points downward during the entire run, with only one small exception. When we enter doors or pipes, we press upwards. Since we refuse to use power-ups, we run into another big problem as well. We can't take checkpoints. Checkpoints transform small Mario into big Mario, and big Mario is forbidden. So if we really want to prove that small Mario is able to beat the game while permanently crouching, then we not only have to bunny hop our way through the game, but we have to do each stage from start to finish with absolutely no margin of error. We aren't allowed to make any mistakes ever. Okay, so the basic idea is to never eat a power-up, to never make a mistake, and to do the rabbit until we reach the saving flagpole in all levels on our route. Next, the route. Luckily, finding the best route in order to prove that the game can be beaten while permanently crouching is surprisingly simple. Basically, we want to enter the least amount of levels possible in order to minimize the chance for nasty complications. Let's take a look at the route and let's collect all the problematic spots that are on this route in a separate list for later investigation. The fastest way through the game is to take the secret exit in World 1-3 that opens up a path to a cannon and allows Mario to directly travel somewhat uncomfortably to World 5. 1-3 is super simple to do. Nonetheless, we'll take a closer look at this level because there is a small trick hidden here that is almost required to make this run possible. The first stage in World 5 already features a couple of super tricky parts that we need to further investigate. The rest of the levels here are pretty straightforward, up until after the boss fight. After the jungle tower, we have to survive a hellish boat trip on top of a poisonous swamp in level 5-4. This boat ride is an enormous problem, and we'll take a closer look at the worst swamp boat ride Nintendo ever built. We'll leave the 5th world via the secret exit in the ghost house, which allows us to shoot ourselves directly into the 8th world. Here we first have to survive 5 an evil stage that not only features platforms on top of lava, but also an erupting volcano. Standard stuff. 8-2 contains another secret exit to 8-7. 8-7 is the skeleton roller coaster ride level. We need to take a look at this because there are a couple of problems here. Next is the Bowser Jr. stage, which is difficult but definitely possible while duck hopping, and then there is only the final stage left, which is a huge threat to our scientific cause. So this leaves us with 5 stages that all contain some stuff that we need to take a closer look at. The other levels are definitely possible, but that doesn't mean that they are easy to beat. Especially the World 5 Tower and 8-1 had me stuck for hours. There is nothing that requires a further investigation in these stages, they just require extremely precise play and a lot of patience to make it through them. There is a link to the raw footage of me clearing all those stages in the description. Cool, so 5 levels left to investigate. First, 1-3. So 1-3 isn't on this list because the stage is difficult. In fact, it may be the easiest level on our route. The reason why this level is in this list is because without it, the run would be close to impossible. The problem is the following. We're going to die a lot. We're going to die over and over again while grinding the levels on our route. Because of this, we really need to find an infinite 1-up trick that works while crouching. And 1-3 is luckily a level that features a trick to obtain tons of delicious 1-ups fast. All we have to do here is to mount Yoshi and to swallow this delicious piranha plant as a whole. For all wondering why we are allowed to ride Yoshi even though power-ups are forbidden, that's for a very simple reason. Because Yoshi is no power-up. Yoshi is a dinosaur and dinosaurs are allowed. So if we reach this spot and then puke out the piranha plant we just swallowed, then we spit a fireball that kills all enemies it comes in contact with. If we now crouch and escort this fireball back to the beginning of the stage, then the fireball turns into a weapon of Goomba mass destruction, kills most of Bowser's evil foes on the stage and provides helpful 1-ups while doing so. What a helpful fireball. So whenever we're close to running out of lives, we return to the stage and do this trick a couple of times until we have enough extra lives in our pockets again. Hooray! Other than that, 1-3 is trivial. That leaves us with 4 levels left to investigate. So 5-1. This level is built around dodging dangerous spike ball juggling piranha plants. First we have to dodge a couple of those evil plants until we don't take the checkpoint. Then we have to swing on top of some not so awesome vines while dodging these stretch piranhas, and lastly we have to platform on top of this wheel thingy until we are finally able to end the stage. So the problem here is the vine part, for a very simple reason. Whenever we start to climb on a vine, we immediately start to slide down, since we are committed to always press the down button. All that we can do is to either immediately jump off of the vines or to ignore them completely. This makes this part insanely challenging. It took me tons of tries just to make it past this section once, and then I immediately died in the part afterwards. We really need to find a setup to do both of these parts consistently. Luckily, there is a trick. As it turns out, it's actually possible to make it over this section using the vines. If we always immediately hit jump after grabbing the vine, then Mario, for some super strange reason, decides to triple jump on top of them, which gives us just enough height to jump over all the evil plumber eating plants. The wheel thingy section can be cheated even easier. It took me about a dozen of failed attempts to realize that we can just skip the wheel thingy entirely. Yep, it's a bit tight, but it is possible just to jump out of the water here. That solves the problems in 5-1. Hooray! 5-4 is next, the horrific boat trip. I hate this stage. The whole stage takes place in this boat, while enemies drop onto it from above. When there are more than 5 enemies on the boat stops and refuses to move any further until we defeat a couple of enemies. We're never able to really build up momentum, so we have to pathetically mini-hop onto all enemies while keeping an eye out for the enemies that drop down from above. That's really difficult, but it gets far worse because the second part of the level is just straight up stupid. During the second part, we aren't able to see when an enemy drops down anymore, which means that it suddenly starts to rain piranha plants on our heads. Again and again and again. We aren't fast enough to dodge them. It's not even possible to memorize the spots where they drop down, since they load in relative to the camera, which means they always land on a different spot on the boat. All that we can do here is to pray that no piranha plant lands on our head. The only thing that helps us here is to pick up a power block midway that allows us to clear the boat once and gives us normal movement while we hold down. So beating the stage took me over 100 lives, but I made it. I really don't know what to say other than that I seriously hope that was the last time a piranha plant dropped onto my head. So only 2 stages left to investigate. Next stop, 8-7. 8-7 is the roller coaster ride. The problem here is that the skeleton roller coaster is no ordinary skeleton roller coaster, but actually a sloped surface. As soon as it starts to move, we start to slide off of it. But hey, how bad can this potentially be? All that we have to do is to always hit the non-sloped parts of the roller coaster and to immediately jump off again. As long as we never stay still, we won't slide soft lock. I mean, hey, it's not like the stage is especially long or anything. It's just 4 different roller coaster rides in a row. All we have to do is to never slide for longer than a couple of frames, land precisely on parts that are not sloped, keep the additional momentum we gain by jumping after a slide in mind while also calculating the path of the roller coaster, not to hit any exceptionally hot liquids while avoiding all the slide soft locks. Basic stuff, no idea why I even put this stage onto this list. It's not like I had to re-record this stage, because the first time I beat it, I totally did not let go of the down button for a couple of frames or anything. What a calming and relaxing experience. Hooray! Anyway, this leaves us with only one final level. The final level. One final stage is standing between us and proving that New Super Mario Bros. Wii can be beaten while duck hopping and without power-ups. And what a level it is. Holy fuzzy, this stage. The problem in this level isn't that there is any individual part that is super tricky to do. The problem is how incredibly long it is. First we have to make our way through a tricky castle part filled with fireballs and fire bars. Then we have to survive on top of some skeleton platforms that drop down while we wait for the lava to drain. Next we have to dodge Bowser's fireballs, then fight Bowser the first time, dodge gigantic fireballs while manipulating them to open up a path at the same time, and finally we have to jump on top of small platforms while dodging lava waves in a section that goes on for far too long. The whole level, from start to finish, takes about 7 minutes. 7 minutes during which we have to crouch and are not allowed to make a single mistake. But worst of all, the by far most difficult part is at the very end of the stage. The insane Bowser chase that is seemingly endless. Nothing here is over the top difficult, but the length of the stage is what makes it difficult. Actually so difficult that I felt like I was running against a brick wall here. I just failed it over and over again for hours. So before I attempted this, I practiced each individual section on a different save file until I got each part at least once, so I knew that it was possible. I just wasn't able to do it. I was stuck here for hours without making any progress. That was really frustrating. I already knew that it was possible to beat the game while permanently crouching, but I just wasn't able to prove it. So I had to adapt my playstyle. See, the thing is the following. I'm usually really impatient when playing Mario. I often prefer to do stuff in a stupid but cool way instead of the safe way. I usually don't wait for these fire bars and just YOLO my way through them. I usually take this pipe before it becomes visible. I usually try to make it past all of Bowser's fireballs without waiting. I usually just try to dodge Bowser even if it's not clear if I can make it past him. And I ran into problems here because of that game style. The level is so long and there is so much that can potentially go wrong that I simply wasn't making any progress. Only when I started to play really slowly and carefully, I started to reach the final boss phase consistently. So I didn't count how often I attempted this stage, but it was somewhere around 200 tries, until I was finally duck hopping towards the final P-switch. This duck hop is the single most satisfying thing I have ever done in a game. Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. We just proved that it is possible to beat New Super Mario Bros. Wii without power-ups while permanently crouching. We just beat the game in the smallest possible way. Hooray! That was honestly a ton of fun. The game really works well when only hopping, and it raises the difficulty a lot, while still staying fair if we ignore the raining piranha plants. It's something I'd honestly recommend everyone who's interested in this kind of stuff to try out when playing Mario Wii the next time. The raw footage of me clearing all the levels is in the description. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this little video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, and maybe feel especially small today and want to hit the subscribe button as well. I hope that all of you have a wonderful day and to see you soon. Goodbye!